finger at me, you don't know why.
Yo, hey, Admiral Wackaz. How you doing, brother? Just saw you in the chat. Hope everything's going well on this fine Sunday. I am working away on another page here. I'm going to see if I can get this camera zoomed out enough so that you can see it. Let me see here. Fingers crossed. There we go. That's a little better. Now if I can just move a few of these things here. Probably stuff I should have done before, but we're kind of just doing this thing on the fly. So I hope you're doing well. We just hit 90 backers, which is great. So whoever number 90 is, thank you, and thanks to all of you guys for helping to get the word out. So we've got werewolves, we've got Nosfero, we've got all sorts of exciting things going on. If you haven't seen my Twitter feed, I've been posting progress artwork up and showing people the various things I'm working on. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat. I am happy to answer them. I was up late last night watching The Howling, and I had actually never seen that movie all the way through. I'd only seen parts of it, so that was kind of a new experience. I was watching that with my son, and yeah, just loving working on this, and so excited about the book, and really excited about 90 backers, guys. Hit like if you haven't yet, so we can get some attention on this. And I know you guys are probably already posting about this stream on Twitter, which I appreciate. You guys are awesome about that. Thank you so much. Here we go. And again, one of the things you'll see me doing when I'm doing this kind of work is a lot of the panels are going to be asymmetrical. And they're going to, well, not asymmetrical, but they're going to have really cool organic panel borders. So when I'm doing a panel like this with this female figure, I'm going to be putting in, having the smoke where Phantomas, I should say, the dog is coming through the portal. And that's kind of the northern border on all of these panels on this side of the spread. And then the other side of the spread, it's going to be a little less organic, but it's going to go up in the other direction. And this is just, this is one of those pages that's really about world building for me and helping people to see what this thing is about. That's really what it comes down to, is the story between these two characters and, the whole aspect of, how do you do a modern day, or I should say a modern day period piece, creepy or eerie magazine kind of comic book. And that's really one of the things that I should probably spend a little bit more time talking about, is that this book is really inspired by that really great horror aesthetic that was in Bernie Wrightson's work and those magazines, those horror magazines, and not in terms of the fact that it's going to be an anthology story. Although I have considered doing, if we reach a certain funding goals, getting, or stretch goals, I should say, not funding goals, doing some backup stories, some shorter backup stories, because I think that kind of stuff is fun. So right now, when you buy this comic, you're getting the first appearance of so many characters that are, where this world is going to be built on. But I'm also thinking about adding some first appearances of characters that are going to be happening in future issues. So it really, the cool thing to me about Comicsgate and all of the stuff that's going on right now is you're being able to get in on these characters and these stories on the ground floor. And this is a character that I sort of see this character as, the what's the word I'm looking for? A character that's very much about going from environment to environment, world to world, or place to place where he's inhabiting and fighting different creatures, and as he learns more about himself and as I build the lore of this book. So there's going to be so much cool adventure stuff, but everything's going to be a little bit different. When I say a little bit different, the thing I mean is it's going to be much more like a vintage style Hammer horror film, and a lot less like a more modern werewolf and vampire take. So that's to say that, for example, here's a really good example. The werewolves in this story are religious, and they pray. And that is the kind of thing that I can imagine seeing in a, Hammer horror type film or something, where you have that element to it. They're good. They are not evil, mindless creatures. They're actually somewhat noble. And that whole aspect of this, and Nosfero's idea that he's fighting evil and how to best go about that, is one of the things I'm most excited about. And I think I saw some stuff in Aaron Lopresti's work where he's dealing with that. He's taking on the idea of the more mythological aspect of the stuff, which is great, but that's kind of what my big plan is for this. Castles and moats and creatures and crypts and coffins, and it's not going to be as much of nightclubs and that kind of thing that we all know and love from the Blade movies and that kind of stuff. And Nosfero is very much not a swashbuckling character per se, but he's much more of a character. If you took Douglas Fairbanks Sr. and crossed him with Michael Keaton's Batman 1989, you'd have a pretty good idea for what I'm looking for. Oh, nice. Oh, that's fantastic. Much love and much respect. Yeah, I really appreciate your support. That makes a huge difference, and I cannot wait to get those to you because I'm really proud of them. I think I'm going to start posting some of the images from those, and I'm even thinking about adding an original art tier where I take some of the artwork from those art books and put those online. But thank you for your support. I do too. It's there's so much you can do with it, and I was thinking about this. I don't know. Are you a fan? I don't know if you're a fan of The Howling or not. I'm a fan of all werewolf movies. I do enjoy them by and large. I'd be hard pressed to find one that I don't like. But when it comes to werewolves, I like some of the elements of The Howling Wolves, but the one that for me is the werewolf is the American Werewolf in London design, the Kessler Wolf. And so I'm always curious, where people come down on that. Vampire-wise, I'm Nosferatu for sure. That's how I see vampires, and a little bit of Hammer horror. The sexy vampire priestess. That's definitely what she's based on. So yeah, I'm always curious what people are into in terms of that. What's their touchstone? It's because we all have horror movies that sort of speak to us that we're foundational in our work. So let's see. And this is a perfect example of that ritual stuff, which is to say, this is a sequence that you would typically see happening in, a Dracula carrying, some character off to be, turned into a vampire. But this is the opposite. He's carrying this character off to kind of cure her. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was actually, it's funny. I think we were talking about this the other night, but I just watched that recently with my son. And that is the closest I've ever seen to that haunting Nosferatu world, with the upside down things, the weird in-camera effects. Love that stuff. I do. I love let me be clear. I love Totopoulos' designs for the werewolves. They're so cool. They're so fantastic. Yeah, I have all those films over there. It's great stuff. Oh, very cool. Wow, D&D. So you have a D&D background. I was playing that recently with my son. But yeah, I mean, I haven't... The Howling is one that I took a little bit of time to get back around to. And I'm just going to move some over here so I don't have as much stuff on my desk. Because when I have a big piece of paper like this, I have to rotate it around a lot, and it's hard not to knock things over. So let me see if I can move this out a little bit. There we go. But yeah, The Howling is a really interesting... It's very much like American Werewolf. It's got a little bit of satire and silliness in it. But yeah, it's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. It's not as intense as some of the lore that you're going to get in role-playing games. I'm just clearing stuff off my desk to make it a little easier for myself here. But it's not as much stuff as you're going to get in role-playing games, that's for sure. And because you can go so much deeper into the lore and the world building. But yeah, I mean, even when I played, there was this game that was out when I was growing up called The Marvel Superheroes. It was a role-playing game, and they had a character in it named... it was a werewolf character that was J. Jonah Jameson's son. I forget what the name of the character was. It was a white wolf. I thought it was cool. And he was like, oh, AD&D. Nice. Good afternoon, Stephen Rockwood. How are you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, we're talking werewolves and vampires and all that fun stuff. And which ones of those fickle are tansy? That's pretty much what it's about right now. Man-wolf. There you go. See, there you go. How did I miss that? Oh, that's one of those things I should have known. Well, and that was the character that I always played because I used to have all those... Actually, it was weird. I had that character that I played, but he worked at the Vault, I think it was called. And so he had one of the guardsman uniforms over his wolf character. It was really interesting because we had a creative DM. Oh, yeah. I was up the exact same time. I would have done a stream then. I was so completely incoherent, and I was watching. I don't know if you were watching Bancroft's stream last night too, but when I was watching that, I was up so late, and they closed it out, and I was up for a while after that. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling the Sunday. That's for sure. And I mean, I will tell you what, the coolest thing about doing those art books before this project is it's really given me an understanding of how to do this. Hey, Robin Turner, how you doing? What's up with you? It's it really gave me an understanding of how I was going to go about this, and it was a great sort of dry run, and I've been kind of in a creating groove and getting used to Twitter. I mean, I know it's a hellscape, but I don't even know how to do basic things on Twitter yet, so I'm trying to sort that stuff out. But yeah, I've been really getting into a groove on this world and on this story, and I'm starting to understand these characters. And the biggest thing for me when I'm working on this is kind of trying to give people a sense of what kind of story it is. Procrastinating on a paper. Oh, rough. Well, hang in there. Yeah, procrastination is a rough thing. It's a killer. But it is one of those things. What is the paper on? That's what I'd love to know. Inquiring minds want to know. What is that paper on? Canadian art history. Oh, very cool. Yeah, there was a fairly prominent artist and painter who's influenced a lot of modern illustration, whose work I was looking at when I was up at the Ontario, what is it called? Oh gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking. But the big museum in Toronto that had the Guillermo del Toro show. So I was up there recently. So yeah, what do I need to know about? I mean, Canadian art history for me starts with Todd McFarlane. So, I have a lot of love for... Oh, and Travis Charest, of course. I have a lot of love for my Canadians. They've brought a lot of beautiful artwork to my life. Yeah, we got a lot of Canadians here. That's pretty cool. Let me see here. All right. So right here, and this is a big thing too, I want to say, because I know a lot of people have been asking me about painting and about, oh my gosh, like it's stressful, or how do you go about it? How do you approach it? Here's the biggest thing you have to do. You have to remind yourself that it's just paint, it's just paper, and you have to, when you get to a point where you're just staring at it and you're staring into space and going, okay, what am I going to do with this? You have to make sure that you just put some paint down. Because for me, this is the biggest thing, and this is the approach that's going to get you your book, like it's gotten people the last two art books I've done, is at a certain point, the page has to be covered with paint, and you need to get it done. And as big as a perfectionist as I can be sometimes about my work, I'm not a perfectionist to the point to where the thing doesn't get done, because I have a good guilt perfectionist balance, which is useful. And so I try to make sure when I'm working, I'm always saying to myself, if I'm nervous about painting a figure, like the one I posted on Twitter today, I've had that frame, because that's kind of pointing out to the sort of, that's one of the panels and one of the moments in the story where we start to reveal the kind of sexiness of the story. And that it is like a Hammer horror film in that sense. A little bit of blood, a little bit of nudity, a little bit of, romantic color lighting, floating moons, that kind of thing. And a little bit of Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos, all that stuff. And you get nervous whenever I don't know if you guys are ever would imagine this. I'm sure you would, or you do this yourself. But sometimes when you're trying to draw a female figure, there's so much more pressure on it. Gosh, everybody was up late. Bad Crow Comics, how you doing? Good to see you. There you go. Just checking to see how everybody's doing. There we go. But it's definitely one of those things that when I'm working, I'm always saying to myself, you just have to get it done. And I was really nervous about painting that figure because she was in a pretty difficult position in terms of foreshortening, but then there's also the making sure that it's attractive aspect of it. And I have that same thing with a couple of other subjects I do, trying to make sure that there's kind of that rawness. But if you look at me, oops, sorry, it's off camera there. So let me do this. I'm going to re-zoom in now that I've got my desk freed up. Hang on a second here. Zoom way in so I can show you guys. But when I'm working like this, yeah, Dagon is crazy. My favorite story is The Thing on the Doorstep. That was the one that got me hooked. And then, of course, Call of Cthulhu, and the Dunwich Horror is... The one that got me hooked was The Thing on the Doorstep, but I guess the one I listened to the most and inspired the story the most is the Dunwich Horror, without a doubt. But look at what I'm doing with this paint. The biggest thing that I know how to do, or that I'm using right now as a skill, is water to pigment ratio, which is enough water to pigment to where it gets down a nice, decent base coat, not too thick, but that it just covers, because we got to get this thing covered. We got to get it painted. And that's why when I'm using Photoshop to do coloring, which I'm not doing on this project, but it's like tool numero uno is the bucket fill. That's what it's about for me. And so when someone gets this book, there's not only the, painting aspect of it, right? Get myself in frame here. Move this camera down just a little bit more. I get myself in trouble by pulling the camera off accidentally. But the thing about it is that, I have to bring it into Photoshop, scan it, color correct it, and rubber stamp anything out that I need to get rid of that happens in the scanning process, any artifacts, and then I'm bringing it into InDesign. So there's so many levels to it. And one of the things I always say to people is, if you ever, I don't know if any of you are, everybody's like, I was up till 5, but I don't want to speak for you there. But the last thing I do before I go to bed every night is or as I go to bed, is I put on an H.P. Lovecraft audiobook on YouTube, whichever one I feel like listening to, and I just pass out to it because my brain won't stop. And so that's how I've caught up on a lot of my reading. That, Hound of the Baskervilles, sometimes, some Arthur Conan Doyle, Lost World, whatever it takes. That's a huge part of it for me. But again, just remember when you see me working, that in that little space of time right there, we just covered like an entire section, and that's how I do this. Section by section, bit by bit, that's how we're putting this thing together. Section by section, putting in those details, and it really is to me like painting walls in a house. That's all it is. It may seem, yeah, there's a lot of other stuff that goes with it, but that's not a part of my thought process, or that's stuff that I've learned over time. And so I definitely don't overthink it in terms of when I'm in execution mode with this stuff and just cranking away. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Yeah, I definitely can't go to sleep in silence. I have this, there's this YouTube video that shows like rain falling on this like grass roofed house or whatever that's like 9 hours long, and sometimes I put that on to knock myself out. It just depends. Let's see here, where do I want to go next? Okay, let's deal with this guy a little bit here. And this is the aspect of it that is very much like comic book inking. So you're going to see, if you've seen other streams of mine, you've probably seen me do this a little bit, but this is, here's just for scale. Got paint on my hand here, hang on, here we go. Just for scale, here's my hand. Here, there's the eyeball, so you get a sense. And, oh, you know that one. There you go, Admiral. He knows what I'm talking about. So, the brush size, remember, is not about how much detail you can get with it. That's what the point is about. The brush size is about how much water and paint it can hold. So that's really why I'm using this. And when you see artists who are, you know, more comfortable as they work in doing this kind of stuff, then it's because they've got the sense of like, I can't possibly see the point of my brush. I can only see where the pigment is going down. And so I'm looking at it from that standpoint. So let me see here. Sometimes I forget. This is the crazy thing about drawing your own character. You can still find yourself trying to remember what it looks like and getting it on model, particularly on a first issue. I've only done a few paintings of Nosfero at this point. I wasn't, you know, I was like everybody when they launch a campaign thinking, okay, well, if this funds. And so you guys have really been, and every time it funds a little bit more, and it breaks another, you know, stretch goal, or, you know, on any of the projects I've done. This one we haven't hit a stretch goal yet, but still awesome. Every time it gets there, it gives a little bit more wind in my sails for this thing. And yeah, that's what it's. I mean, that's the fun part about it. You guys are making this happen. You guys are getting the word out. You're telling people about it. And I appreciate it. There we go. So you guys can see how I'm roughing this stuff in. And am I zoomed in all the way? I think I am. But it's, you know, let's go. I hope I don't pull this camera down, because that has happened. Sorry for the sound there. Adjust the angle on here. There we go. So now, yeah, there we are. You can see my thumbnail. Literally, not the thumbnail of the image, but you can see my thumbnail. And you can get a sense for what this thing is and how small we're working here. But, you know, someone was asking me, and deservedly so, you know, well, is this going to be just a bunch of pinups? Is this going to be, you know, just a bunch of paintings? And it's like, no, trust me, there's going to be a story. And it's going to be a story that is fun, is adventurous, and again, just think Hammer horror films, and think, gosh, what else? Batman 1989 is probably a little bit heavier in the sense of it was a little overly bleak. This is much more Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow plus, I don't know, I'm trying to think of what else there is. You know, Hammer horror is my favorite one. If you haven't seen Hammer horror films and you are disappointed by modern entertainment, go to my brother from another mother, Michael King's The Choice Voices YouTube channel, and check out his videos on Hammer horror and learn about Hammer beauties. That's what I would encourage. Actually, hang on a second here. Let's see here. For those of you guys who can I reach the books is the next question. Dang, I've got an avalanche of books here, guys. That's how I want to die. I mean, there's a lot of options, I'm sure, but I want to be killed in a freak book avalanche. That's
That's what, if that happens to me, which I'm just about to start. Oh, shoot. I'm actually starting one. Well, I will see if I can find that book at some point. I may do another stream tonight because I've been falling behind on streams. But, oh my god. That's what I get for pushing myself down that road. But anyway, if you don't know what Hammer horror films are, do me a solid and look up Ingrid Pitt, look up Madeline Smith, look up, who else is there? Who's amazing. Those are the two models I'm using here. Oh, the Collinson twins in Twins of Evil. Those will give you a really great idea. I know, you saw that, right? So my studio mate, a buddy of mine, has the best near-death book experience. And smash that like button if you haven't. And guys, feel free to launch this out on Twitter and tell everybody where we are. But he was downstairs, and he has these huge metal bookcases on the second floor of his house. And he's downstairs, and all of a sudden he hears this sound, almost like a sonic boom. It's just like, shakes the whole house. It's boom! And he's like, downstairs, he's like, oh my god, what was that? Did the roof just come in? Ah, yeah, hail Ingrid Pitt. Amazing woman, amazing story. She's the ultimate sort of fan in that way, but our fan person. Remind me to come back to this. So he's downstairs, and hears this big thoom from upstairs, and he runs upstairs because he thinks one of the bookcases collapsed. So he goes up there, and nothing has moved, which is probably even more terrifying when you can't figure out what made that sound. So a couple of weeks go by, and he decides to grab a book from the bottom shelf. He knows the book's on the bottom shelf. And he realizes that the bottom shelf, there were these 2 or 3 inch long legs, metal legs, on the bookshelf. And what happened is those metal legs punched through the wood floor when he was downstairs, and the bookcase just landed flat on the base. So the sound he heard were the bookcases puncturing the hardwood floors and then landing flat. Now that is a book collection. And so Ingrid Pitt, a lot of people may not know this, but she fled the Holocaust in Nazi Germany. She escaped, I think Poland actually, if I'm not mistaken, but someone can look that up. And she is just an amazing woman, was very comfortable in front of the camera, was a lively personality, and has one of those deaths in her older age that I think any person who's involved in fan culture can appreciate. I think she might have been in her 70s, maybe older, and she was on her way to a dinner with fans and died of a heart attack, just on her way to see fans. That is the best. Thank you, Admiral Wackass. Poland. I knew it was, I was trying to think of which one it was, and I knew I was off. But, I mean, isn't that the kind of person you just want to salute? I mean, besides the fact that she's just a breathtakingly beautiful woman and had incredible charisma and character. But, geez, what an amazing person, and not shy about her femininity, not shy about her acting ability and her beauty. I mean, she was just a icon and had an incredible life and a strong person. Really amazing. And was beloved by her fans, as we know is usually the case. I mean, I think we all felt that anguish in our guts when we learned about the passing of Carrie Fisher. So beautiful. Absolutely breathtaking woman. There's no getting around it. I was influenced, the character that's in this is influenced by her, particularly her appearance in Countess Dracula. So, yeah. And so right here you've got Nosferatu is trying to cure her of this vampire bite. And she was bitten on the thigh. And so he's going to have to use a combination of burning the wound and holy water, just like Peter Cushing in Brides of Dracula. Because again, we're living in a world where the old lore and background stuff of vampirism, but then also mixed with eldritch, Lovecraftian stuff is there. And by the way, when I talk about H.P. Lovecraft, something I want to make sure I'm saying, because I used to hear people talk about H.P. Lovecraft and authors. I had no idea what they were talking about, any of that stuff. And the thing that got me about it was books were always felt really inaccessible to me. I was a slow reader. But once I started listening to all of these different authors,
on YouTube, funny enough, where I could find their audiobooks. I got to develop an interest in favorite authors and learn about their biographies and, the different things that they went through and how, nuts they were in some cases, but their creativity became something where I realized as a storyteller, if I don't start reading, I am not going to be able to tell the kinds of stories I want to tell. I might be able to tell a decent story, but I'm going to not have all of the vocabulary that I could have to tell the stories. And I don't just mean the words, I mean the imaginative vocabulary. So if you read Dune, for example, and then you can, and Lord of the Rings, you can really kind of start to imagine things like Star Wars a lot easier. You're standing on the shoulder of giants, and it's the same thing with comics too, for that matter. The more that we read comics and look at great works of comic storytelling, the more that we start to understand how to do it. And I've learned so much from looking at other artists, other really amazing artists. And there's some great people, doing some cool work in CG. But, people like Rick Baker influenced me, for heaven's sake, the special creature makeup effects guy. Movies like King Kong. That's the stuff for me. And there's a lot of love for giant gorillas in my fan base, man. I love that you guys love it too. Because that's always going to be a part of my stuff. And if you've got the art books, when those are coming to you, you've got gorilla overload. You're going to love it. My every time I send a gorilla painting to my studio mate, he always sends me a text back that says, "Gorilla in my dreams." It's like, we're so lame. So what are you going to do? What can you do? So here we go. And so right there you saw the brush drag a little bit. The reason why stuff like that happens is I don't have enough water on my brush. If I put too much water, it can bleed. If I don't let things dry enough. But I want you guys to see that because I don't want people to be afraid of painting. Yeah, Doom is great. Burn. Yeah, oh yeah. There's no doubt. When I meet people who are, or I should say also when I read people who are according to Hoyle authors, like they paint the picture on the page, I am so completely impressed by that. It's the same way I feel about concert violinists and people like that, or people working in pen and ink. Yeah, there you go. There you have it. We await your response. I love hearing people share their passions and, what books they're into and the stuff they love. That's the best part of this. There you go. No comment from me. I will tell you this and that's kind of the funniest thing too. I always tell people about these various experiences that I've had as an artist and as a creator where, when I was a kid and when I was really young, I should say, I had a lot of oh God, don't imagine a violin playing, please, guys. This is not meant to be depressing. But when I was a kid, I had a lot of dreams and sort of like, I was very imaginative, very hopeful, very positive. And I still am. I think I always was throughout things, but I got to a certain point where I kind of just feel like I just stopped kind of believing in being positive, got too nihilistic. And Joseph Campbell and that kind of stuff helped me kind of get myself more back on track. But I remember one time I just was looking at myself and I was like, is this what you want to be doing with your life? Is this like where you want to be? And I think rediscovering that stuff is so important. And for anybody who has rediscovered it, and I can relate to you, just know that. I absolutely can. So I'm drawing on 300-pound cold press Strathmore paper. And yeah, it's really sturdy. I always say you can roof a house with it, which is what I love about it. And it can take pencil. And the thing about hot press is you can get just as detailed with cold press. And I found that a lot of you guys really love when I post photos that capture the paper texture. It's kind of like the visual ASMR or something. I don't know what it is, but people just kind of love seeing the texture of the paper. But it also, the other issue of it is that the pencil, once it starts to scuff away at or scratch the surface of hot press paper, it bleeds irregularly, and that drives me nuts. So that's why I like using the cold press stuff. It's very stable, and you can get detail on it, and it can also drink the water really well. Yeah, you guys are like me in that way. Like we love Wasn't that? I mean, that's why we're backing these books, and that's why we're buying these books, right? You know, we like to have the physical objects, the stickers, the what is it, the Cyber Frog Blood Honey box, man. That looks amazing. My son got the PVC a while back, because he got it individually. The rest of it hasn't come yet because the book's not there. But the Salamandroid, really just a great figure. Great stuff. Yeah, I'm with you, Bad Crow Comics. I absolutely am. Yep, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean, look at me. I mean, guys, this is us. This is totally us. Hey, what's up, boss? Good to see you. I know. What time is it there? And I asked you this last stream, but I can't remember. So is it Tommy or is it Tommy? I'm guessing is it Tommy or Tommy? So 1 if it's Tommy, 2 if it's Tommy. I want to make sure I say it right. And if I'm wrong on both, just type it out phonetically for me, because I hate pronouncing names wrong, because you know me, my name's always pronounced wrong. So yeah, I mean, guys, I wasn't reading comics, and I never realized how much fun how much I was missing the fun of getting a comic in the mail and reading it. Like, if you look right now, like right next to me, if I reach over, I've got and Rob Willis's stuff is in here. I've got the Graveyard Shift supplemental kicking about right here. Look at that beautiful ink work too, by the way. Just some really great artwork in there. And I've got all that stuff right next to me. And this is the thing too. Oh, 1. Okay, so I said Tommy. Is that correct? I'm hoping that was... Now I forgot which one was which, but just give me a thumbs up if that was correct. And so one of the things that for me is so great about it, would you guys be interested in me doing a stretch goal? I have like a bookmark type stretch goal, but would you guys prefer if I did something more like a trading card? Would that be something you preferred? Yeah, so am I. I know. Well, I think I have a piece in there. I don't know if it's, if it's going to be postage stamp sized or not, but I am, either way, I don't care. I'm so excited. It's going to be my first published, I believe, CG piece is going to be in, if it's in there. I cannot wait to get the, what's it called? The Kenneth Rocafort cover on the swimsuit book. What is it? Was there a name for it outside of swimsuit book? I feel like I'm not saying it right. But yeah, I'm still waiting for that, because I had a couple of orders going on each campaign, and they come at different times. So like I have we have the Salamandroid PVC, but we don't have the Cyber Frog, because that's coming with the book. So we got like a lot of different stuff going on. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that's the joy of it. That the joy of it is sharing it with you guys. I mean, I'm on Twitter because that's where you guys are. I mean, I keep hearing people say that all the time. And Visions, there you go. Yeah, Visions. Yeah, I'm really interested in that. I would submit a piece for the next Visions book, but I feel like I would prefer to be doing one of Malin's characters, honestly, than doing my own, just because I love my characters, but my characters, I mean, he hasn't made it too restrictive, come to think of it. Because I was thinking I want to put more stuff around them, but it's not like he has a problem with that. So maybe I will do that. We'll see. Because, yeah, I love supporting stuff like that. John is fun. John remembers. I mean, you guys who follow me on Instagram have seen that I had a piece of mine in Wizard Magazine when I was like 13 or 14, I think it was. That was the best stuff. That was so fun to do. I remember how proud I was when that stuff came out, and it was always it just made you feel like you were really a part of something. And if there's one thing that I think that CG is really good at, is making people feel like they're a part of something. Whether you're backing stuff or making stuff, it's really great to be in this group here. It's a good art move, and you're right. I mean, you described it well as an art movement. It's so true. Yeah, that thing's big. That thing is... The tail on that thing is serious. Honestly, the biggest thing I thought when I see the Salamandroid PVC and everything, yeah, it does need a mute button. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, people get... I found myself, like, even though I've only been on it a short time, I could find myself checking it because I'm in the middle of a campaign, and I do try to check it, but it's so obvious how it's designed to be addictive and suck people in. I mean, that's the point. I mean, why would a business model not be to get you totally absorbed in, the social media platform? But it is something I'm trying to make sure I'm managing and being a little wary of, because I see how people just start to, can get sucked into it, and then sometimes you just need to go for a walk, and it's I just always try to look at things as best as I can from a positive standpoint. Hey, Robin, let me see what you got there. Yep, that's true. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and hopefully you don't meet them in real life, right? It's especially when they're off the rails. But it's, yeah, man. I mean, it's like I look at that kind of stuff and I think, how do I word this? A friend of mine called me the other day, and he's got some great project happening right now, and we were talking, and I was saying to him, and I was talking to him about all things going on, and he just wanted to call me up to share his good fortune. And the thing about it for me was, I said to him, and he made some comment like he was almost like he was feeling bad about, his success or something. And I said to him, no, when you call me, excitement thing number one, my friend's calling me. Number two, when you tell me good news, I'm always going to be happy and excited about it, because I think that's the healthiest way to be. And I think sometimes people get into that zone of comparing their weaknesses to other people's strengths, or they start paying attention to how this person's doing versus them. And the comparison thing is just poisonous to people. It's so poisonous. If you can ask yourself at the end of the day, where do I want to be and what can I do to get myself there? And not get trapped in that zone of what are other people doing to thwart me, or how is the world conspiring against me? You're in such a better place. And I guess I was talking about this a little bit before, but I've been rewatching Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myth, which was huge for me. So I don't know how many of you guys, maybe an family means that all unnecessary drama is old news. There you go. It's absolutely right. You're right. That's totally true. Yeah, that's a great way to start your day. And he's a very positive person in that regard. He really is. And, for me, I started watching Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myth again lately because I really needed I just felt this, I don't want to say it, it's hard to describe. Suddenly I just went, oh, I have those. I should watch those. And it's what got me into storytelling. For those of you guys who know about my character design theory, that all came out of that. Let me tell you this, if you can track down, and I know how the internet works, you can find almost anything. I feel like PBS should be streaming it, but track down The Power of Myth with Bill Moyers interviewing Joseph Campbell. Put that on in the background, and you will, it's like basically, what Jordan Peterson's, impact is like. But the funny thing is he's talking about world mythology. And even if a person doesn't, you don't have to agree with his interpretation of every myth. You don't even have to, agree with his governing philosophy. But man, is it good for the soul. Yeah, great interviewer. So I got my education in myth and character design and came up with my character design theory and approach purely based on the fact I was commuting 90 miles up to work and 90 miles back when I was in my mid to late 20s. As a college professor, and I bought at this ancient place some of you may have heard of called Borders way back when, and they had the audio collection of Joseph Campbell's lectures, and it was called the Complete Audio Collection. So I would buy one every other week, and then I would just listen to them for hours on the way up, just absorbing them, and I'd listen to them over and over and over again. Time to draw, that's right. Yeah, get that draw on. That's right, that's why we're here, right? Just to get inspired to either read comics, draw comics, or just chill out and celebrate the work week. And the work week you got ahead of you, to be psyched and ready for that if you aren't working today, or the day you have ahead of you, that's what we're here to do. Art's here to enrich your life and to inspire you. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be painting miniatures, you could be doing character sheets, you could be backing your favorite artist's book, or putting something out there that is inspiring. We need it. We can't exist permanently in an inspirational wasteland, and that is what I think Joseph Campbell's biggest contribution was when I stumbled upon the power of myth, is getting out of that, you know. Oh, nice. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, VHS. Yeah, that's how my first copies of that you know, the Power of Myth and all that stuff were on VHS. And there's one of the things that was a lot of fun about going on Michael Bancroft's show was, and a few others, when I went on Reagan Lodge's show, and who else did I do? I went on Michael's show, gosh, a couple of times, I feel it feels like. And one of the things that is so fun about that is when people share ideas, you feel like you're getting, you know, your fuel tank filled up. So when someone talks about a book that we haven't read, or talks about an artist that we haven't seen their work, you know, it's opening a door. We get to go check it out, and that's the fuel. That's the inspiration fuel. And so for me, if I could give anybody some advice, if anybody's feeling like, you know, I need to reconnect with, you know, something, my core, whatever, my faith in humanity, let's say, or my love of stories. I want to feel a deeper connection with my love of stories. Check out Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myth and watch it, and you'll love it. Oh, nice. Oh, wow, that's cool. That's a thing, Novel November. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, guys, it's huge. It's amazing how valuable it is to have people that you can call up, and people who root for you to be successful, and don't take, you know, your success as a slight against them. Don't need to pull other people down to feel better, but even bigger than that, people who put wind in your sails inspirationally. I watch people who are inspiring, who've overcome things, and that is the way that I get the energy to do what I do every single day. Because otherwise, this is just a slog, you know, and things won't get done. But I mean the things, you know, I'm painting here. I mean the things I'm drawing here. You know, when I'm putting the vampire bites into this character, and I'm thinking about, you know, all of the different, you know, mythology and story I've seen. I'm thinking about, you know, the beauty, frankly, of female anatomy. I'm thinking about the beauty of composition. That's the stuff that's in this piece right here. That's the stuff that I'm trying to make come front and center, so that when you're looking at it, you're feeling all of those things. And that's the job. You know, that sense of wonder, that sense of characters and creatures. So yeah, I mean, there's it's easy to get to find those reservoirs of negativity and cynicism. They're always being, you know, they're easy to have shared, or when positive things come up, it's easy to have someone make a comment about it that makes, you know, it's basically like, you shouldn't like this, or you shouldn't enjoy this. And I just kind of say, you know, yes, I mean, there's just certain people who are the Debbie Downers of their group, and have to kind of just suck the wind out of everything. And I think those people are the ones you got to kind of keep your distance from, because it's true. It really does bum people out. Like, it's hard when I'm watching, you know, what Shane or Ethan or Michael Bancroft or any of those guys are doing, Rob Willis. We're trying to. There's the work. There's the physical labor of what we do. And then there's the draining nature of, you know, just being, you know, what's the word? Not draining nature. There's the need to have some kind of fuel in your system to just keep persevering, keep working, keep pushing. You know, again, as a wise man once said, till we collapse, you know, but it's work till you collapse, and love it too, and enjoy it. To do that, you know, seeing something like, and I didn't even know who it was, but seeing it's like, oh my gosh, we just hit 90 backers. It's like instant fuel in the tank. It's a big deal. It's that much closer to the next goal, that much closer to the next goal. You guys make that stuff happen when you back the projects. And I love that people in CG remember what backer number they are, and always like put that out there, because that just shows like how much people understand their what they're contributing to, what they're doing, and the role they're playing in making this artistic movement successful. When they see great work by us, I don't take it for granted that I need to make great work happen, because because other people have made great work happen and people have been so dedicated, that's why we're in this position. And I agree with John that it is a fragile thing. It is a fragile thing that we have to appreciate and we have to take care of it. It's not that it doesn't have, integrity in the truest sense and that it's just, that it's not strong. It just means that it needs to be added to. The more books that come out, the more quality projects you see, the more people realize that there is freedom, creative freedom in this, and there's creativity in this, because we're missing that stuff. Boy, do we need creativity and inspiration right now. We need it more than we ever have, because it's just so easy. We're kind of in what I would say is we're kind of in a spiritual and imaginative doldrums right now. And being in the doldrums like this, the last thing you need is for somebody to kind of hand you a cannonball or an anchor and just, toss you into, nihilism and hopelessness. You need somebody to, and not in a, where's that eraser? And not in a, we're not naive. Most of us have obviously lived lives and we've seen things. So we don't want to be sold naivete, and we don't want to be sold, everything's great or everything's awful. I think both are very thin, and they don't bring us a lot. There's not a lot of inspiration in them, and we need people to be inspiring us, and helping us to be inspired, because we're better when we're moving in that direction. So here we go. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm putting on a wash. Like sometimes I just to put a color down. I'm using primarily two colors when I start. Kind of a yellow, ochre, orange, gold kind of color, and then a blue color, and that gives me some greens. And what I never knew until I got older, people would just give you 100 tubes of paint and tell you to make something. You don't need every single color to do a full color piece. Sometimes using two complements, black and white, will get you there. One Wicked Evo, there you go. That's right. Hey, listen, those wives are very important. We need them. So I know how you feel, man. Yeah, that's what it is. What kind of eraser? Okay, big graphite. So yeah, I'm using a kneaded eraser right now, and that allows me to just dab, that lead up when it starts to build. And I'm sorry. It's I would also say I use a Mars Plastic eraser by Staedtler, and then I use a battery-powered electric eraser sometimes, just to clean things up. So one of these, if you've ever seen these before, it's like a battery-powered Dremel. It's not the most powerful one. It takes I think 2 AAAs, and it works really well. And then there's my standard kneaded eraser. And then I also use the Mars Plastic, wherever that one ran off to. Oh yeah, here you go. You've probably seen these all over the place, but just for some visual reference, that's what I use. So yeah, that stuff is, I can get by and survive with those tools pretty well at this point. So that's where I've been doing my work. So here's another thing. Like I remember when Bob Ross would paint, he'd always talk about, okay, here's our bravery test. This is kind of, that in a sense. Let's see if I can do this here. But I'm going to just rough in. I watered my paint down too much, so I'm just rebuilding it a little bit more. There we go. Getting that paint viscosity right is important. So what I'm going to do is put this in, let's see here, put in a darker value right here. There we go. And that will kind of help me to frame what's going on with this figure. And what's going to be behind this figure is a little bit of a cabinet type thing that's going to have some books in it and some things that he uses, like a true, vampire hunter and paranormal warrior. It's going to have, some books and various things, but he's in a crypt that I found some really great reference for, and then I'm just going to change it a little bit. And this is kind of like where he goes to meditate and tend to his wounds and care for people that he saves that cross his path. And so this is one of those. And as you notice, like when you look at this kind of stuff, Oh, it's great. Yeah, that eraser is fantastic. When you look at this stuff, you'll see me rotate my brush a little bit. That's what happens when I'm like flipping my hand around like that. And that's important for the point. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, by the way, anybody using charcoal, let me give you some advice here for something to try. If you love charcoal, there's a brand new invention that came out, I guess, a couple of years ago. Some of you may have it, and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you know, like it's like I said, Facebook or something." You're like, "Yeah, that's been out for a while," but it's called Pastels, and they are an invention. They're not pastels. They're almost like these little discs, like pancake watercolors, and you use a little sponge to apply it. But they don't smear, but they can erase to zero. And it's one of them. And this guy, David Casson, who does realistic portraits of Holocaust survivors, he actually does his underdrawings with them. Amazing stuff. Look up Pastels if you enjoy charcoal at all. They don't get into your lungs as much because they're stable. They stay on the paper, but they erase. It's an incredible invention. It's so worth a try if you have not seen them or used them. You know, open another window up and go Google Pastels. And you can watch videos on YouTube of the inventor of it talking about it, but I've owned them and used them. I even use them to transfer layout pages when I do paintings sometimes, because you can put them onto a sheet of tracing paper, and then and they'll stay, they're stable, then lay that tracing paper down and trace over it, and it does a beautiful transfer job. And it doesn't get all over the place and in the air, which is really nice, and it's pretty easy to erase. So Pastels, check them out if you like charcoal. If you find that a soothing process, you will really like working with these. And you can work with them with pencils and everything else too, as you build up. So they work really well with other things. Great stable media, and not as easy to smear or smudge. There we go. So now what we're doing is we've just framed this character's head, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more because now I'm starting to get into some slightly bigger stuff there. There we go. That's a little better. So now we've got this character in frame a little bit more. But this is, you know, one of those moves that you make when you're painting that allows you to frame it out. It's just like inking. I mean, it really is ultimately, we'll move this here. It's ultimately just like inking. You know, I mean, all the skills I have right now are things that came from my, you know, experience and my foundation in comic book inking. Brush control, occasionally remembering to breathe. Sometimes I still forget. And, you know, just putting this stuff together and understanding how composition works. It's huge. Composition really is most of it. The trick is, can you do compositions without suffocating the artwork? And that's the thing that I know I used to struggle with. And finally, whenever Ethan or somebody talks about, you know, the Stan Lee and his wife conversation, the do one comic your way before you quit and get sick of this industry, that was one of those things that my wife said to me when I decided I wanted to do, you know, a comic book project that I'd been building up to, which is this one. She said, if you're going to do it, don't totally change your style. Keep what's great about your art books and, you know, that your fan base already likes. Make that stuff and then just add the comic book storytelling to it. And that's what I've been doing. You know, that's been the huge part of it. So here we go. Here's our next bravery test. And you'll see I'm mixing up the paint, and you can always tell when I'm about to, you know, do something new. I'll spend a lot more time on the palette than I do painting, because that's where you get it right. You get your paint right on the palette. You don't try to get the consistency correct once you get onto the paper, or it's going to cause you a ton of grief. So here you go. So now we're going to frame out the rest of this bit right here. And again, I just love the way this color goes down. Because it's opaque, we can always correct things if we need to. And it's gouache and watercolor were originally, or were used historically by illustrators and designers as a sketch media. And that's so important, you know. That's so important to remember, that you don't have to wear a beret to paint. It's not, you don't have to, if you need to, that's cool. Wear a beret, for heaven's sake, do it. But you don't have to, recite Foucault in order to do this kind of stuff. In fact, there's a chance that if you do, you're not painting. If you're an existentialist angst and you're reading Kant too much, what was that? There's a great Australian comedian who said, you can't be Kant and you don't want to be. I always loved that one. But when you're working, to me anyway, it's really about just covering ground and recognizing that this is us, smearing pigment on cave walls. That's all it is, to get our point across. And if I can get, people to be inspired by what I'm doing and feel that inspiration, oops, sorry about that, guys, then I'm ready to go. Then I've got the piece I need. Then when you are, going through this page and you're seeing those panels unfold and the mist as it goes across, the mire here and the moors and the tombstones sinking and the moon that's up there and the castle, when you come down to here and you see her being whisked away and you see her being treated for being bitten by a vampire, it should be exciting to you. You should look at it and go, this is an exciting story. Wow. It's adventurous, it's sexy, it's, got beautiful colors, and it's got mist going places. That's what we're about. Thank you. That is my favorite thing, is watching old, movies where they would do that lighting on the tombstones. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. You hit the nail on the head with that. I'm glad you love that. It's my favorite part on this painting so far, is the tombstones, because it's really great color stuff, and it's not, when I say that, I don't mean, oh, it's great because I did it. I mean, it's great because the color theory that so many people have pioneered ahead of me is there. That's what makes it great. And so, yeah, I'm always standing on the shoulder of giants, and I love it. I feel very grateful that so many amazing artists have created brilliant work that I get to be inspired by. There we go. Now I'm going to rotate this a little bit, just because I can keep my hand at the right angle, and measure up what I need to do with that angle, which needs to be a little bit flatter as we move up the wall here. There we go. And I'll probably turn that into a little bit of a shadow area right there. And then I'm going to follow that around, because it's sort of like a little curved area of books and then various other things in here. I'm going to follow that around angle. Oh, I love that color. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, sometimes I wonder if it's just an 80s thing, for me. But it is a wonderful color, and it gives this really great, I don't know, it gives it this really great atmospheric quality, because sunlight's blue, and the sunlight that we see all day is blue. That the blue range gives us such a relaxing, experience, and I think that's what is kind of interesting. I used to ask my students that. I'd go, what color is sunlight? And they'd go, white. And I'd go, no, it's not. It's blue. Look above you. Look at the color of the atmosphere it's coming through. It's basically just blue light. We color correct for it, but it's blue. Yes, I'm going to add the speech bubbles. I've already been playing around with that and putting the script stuff together. But I'm going to do all that stuff digitally, and, playing around with the word bubbles and the fonts. But yeah, that stuff's going to be done digitally, and I'm going to try to give it a little bit of a paper texture to the background on the word balloons, just so it has, I love to tie these different things together as much as I can. So yeah, absolutely going to be doing those digitally, and that way too, if people ever want to buy the book without word balloons, just with the artwork, I want that to be an option down the road. So that's, it depends on how well this one does, but if this one does well, that's going to be an option for us. And also, you can then sell prints of the pages, right, of the spreads at some point. But again, it's all predicated on how well this thing does. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I love the idea of, I love artist editions. I love, when people are showing their copies of Jack Kirby books and things like that. That's the stuff that's always been fun for me to see. There we go. I'm just adjusting my light just a little bit there. There we go. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's we'll see how far we go. We'll see how far we go on this campaign. And that would be, I would love to do that. We're talking about obviously much higher numbers than we're at right now for that kind of thing, but it is on the table, to be sure. You guys ultimately decide how big these things get and how successful they get. And it's weird, but may sound strange to say, but I have more faith in the audience support being the guide that tells me whether, how things are going than anything else. Ultimately it's about it'll go as big as you guys and the people who haven't yet backed yet want to make it. That's why we're getting Cyberfrog action figures. That's why we're getting PVC figures. For all of us who were there, for the original Cyberfrog campaign, and I remember it well, these things, we weren't even like, I remember when it hit like 30,000, then 100,000, then 200,000. It just kept going, and it was amazing. That's why we've got all that cool stuff. And it's the same thing with Patrick Thomas Parnell's action figures that he did as well. And I know he's a massive action figure fan, much like myself, but that's where all that stuff comes from. It's how big, is CG able to be, and how do we bring more people into it? That's something I've been really thinking about a lot lately, because I do think that that's essential. Like, why I'm here, one of the many reasons I'm here, outside of the obvious interest, my own self-interest in making great work and selling it and have an audience, I'm never going to say that's not the case. Absolutely is the case, or else you shouldn't be, making work if it's not about that. But I do spend a lot of time thinking about the fact that I want to help with my work diversify, and in the real sense of what that word means, what CG is, because we're a very broad-ranging group of people, which no one wants to believe, but it's the truth. And I think people love fantasy, people like this. So am I going to give them, what am I going to give them that's a little different, a little bit soulful? Like, I always think about Spawn and Hellboy, and how similar those ideas are in the pitch, and how completely different they are in the execution, and that they both can sustain and exist in the same independent comics ecosystem and thrive. And that's what we're doing. We're creating our versions of these things, and that's what makes it great. And you guys ultimately dictate that. Like, why is there a painted comic book? Why is Kenneth Roquefort doing painted work? Why am I doing painted work? It's because there's an audience that really cares about art, painting and drawing, just like we love pen and ink and beautiful digital colors and Kyle Ritter's stuff. That's what makes me excited. Gosh, Mary Boys. I could go on and on and on. Narwhal stuff. If you get me going, I can start talking about how great I think all this stuff is. That's what I love. Who would have thought that Patrick Thomas Parnell is going to be doing a Sleepy Hollow book, like a book? This is awesome, guys. This is so awesome. I don't want us to ever forget that, and I want us to remember that it's with, the people who are in CG that are backing books are so crucial. That audience is crucial. They're everything. They're that, and just like the people who are creating and producing the books are, it's hard to describe. But when I back books, there's a sense of really directly, contributing to artwork that I love, and that's what makes me inspired. And you guys inspire me. Yeah, it looks sick. Totally. Yeah, I love that. Love the Sleepy Hollow book. Is that? Yes. Yep, you're absolutely right. Yeah, Ethan uses eBay really well too. You're right. It has a beautiful style. To me, it's like, it's the glory of Will Eisner when I look at that stuff. But you're right. There's that aspect of it. 100%. 100% on the aftermarket. But there's the other aspect of it too, which is with that I think is what makes you guys, who you are, and makes this what it is, and makes us what we are too, I should say, is that without this first bit, none of the other stuff gets to happen. And I think if there's one thing that we always need to remember, oh, excellent. Yeah, Brubaker, absolutely. Bad Crow Comics, good point. And same thing, Julie, as well, is that one thing that people need to remember is that I think people start to forget is that without Indiegogo and the crowdfunding, none of those things can get started to that point. And that's why it's so important to take care of our Indiegogo backers, first before it goes out to anything else. And why it's so important, like the Indiegogo backers are everything. Like before that book comes out, before that book, is there. What's paying for us to make these things and dedicate our time to it are the backers. We couldn't do it otherwise. It's just not possible. Like, Aaron is crushing it right now, but that cushion is so important to him. I mean, he's got family, obviously. He's got, just like I have family, we all have family, but he's had a career up to a certain point. And I was so happy to back Wraith of God, and he is just doing the best work of his career. And that is what you're seeing right here, guys. This is the best work of my career. It will be the best work of my career going forward. It just is. And it's because of you guys. You guys make this happen. Normal stuff. Yeah, so different. Yep, you're right. Yeah, I mean, when I did the, I know you guys all know this because you know me, but it's for people who don't know. The reason I did the Earthbound 2 recut trailer was because I really believe in Narwhal's work. I know some of you guys actually are maybe friends with Narwhal. Someone mentioned that before, that they were good friends with Narwhal. And yeah, I mean, we gotta, that's my ore, man, is just trying to make sure that I'm helping people get their stuff out there. That's what makes it great. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, absolutely. Amazing storytelling stream. And yeah, Aaron's stuff is beautiful. He is absolutely, like, that really annoyed me. Like, I like Aaron and Shelley, and that really annoyed me when people were talking about him as a journeyman artist. It's like, no, his creativity has now been unleashed on Wraith of God, and that's what you're seeing. It was a ridiculous statement. Really annoys me. You know? Aaron has a beautiful style and a beautiful mastery of his craft. And Wraith of God, every page I've seen looks great. I'm so glad I backed that book and supported it. But you know, it's so funny because that was my first Aaron Lopresti thing I've ever bought. That's what this is. There's the creators that have worked in the industry for a while, and there's people like Narwhal who come in here, and Michael Bancroft as well, I think. And, you know, we have a responsibility to create something. That's, if I may say this, that's one of the things that I think that Image Comics' biggest shortcoming was, and I say this as someone who was a huge Image Comics fan, is that they never really created. They tried to repeat the same thing by bringing in industry professionals, and they never created that next generation huge phenomenon with any kind of stability. And we seem to be more effective at that because we don't have as many gatekeepers. But again, we're only going to be as good as our audience is big and supporting. Like, they have to support and force. That's the trick. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. And I love when people mix them. I love anything good. Quality is what it's all about. Say shown for Darker Blue is absolutely stunning. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the coolest thing is when you get to see all of these various projects and you see what they're doing. Gives me a lot of, you know, hope for the future. And I think that's why it was important to me to do two things before I launched my campaign, which I probably talked about on the stream, but two big important things I did on this before I launched this campaign was I successfully crowdfunded and fulfilled 2 art books, and I did them under my own name because the reason, but I did them as Indiegogo, like, you know, it was whatever, but they weren't comics. So, and I hadn't done a comic yet, so I felt like if I used it, I'd CG and was like, oh, I'm Comicsgate, and people were like, it's an art book. You know, it wasn't really on my end anyway, it wasn't really contributing as much as I could. And I wanted people to know when I launched my Comicsgate campaign that they were going to get, you know, and there's 2 copies of them, or one of each just sitting next to me here. They were going to get their book. You know, they were going to get their book. And even when I was working on the second art book, and both of these are available, the 2 art books and the third one are available as a part of it, I was already experimenting with my comic book stuff on here and doing my, you know, some pretty fun stuff. And so that was the whole idea when I was working on this, was kind of playing around. These are very small experiments. These are practically like thumbnail sketches. But the idea was to play around with what would that eventual work be if I was just exploring it with layout page style and hand lettering and all of that stuff. So that was like a rough sketch of what I was going to be doing here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, One Wicked Evo. Forget that you saw those. They're terrible, and you don't need them. Yeah, has passion. Alien Alamo, yes. Lucent is... I love it. Oh, thank you. That was very kind. I wasn't prepared for that. Hey, that was like a sucker punch compliment. I was ready to... I'm with you on all that. Then I got to meet. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, Inglorious Rex, I'm so excited about. So excited about Inglorious Rex. Yeah, let's... And Baby Pterodactyl, let me say as well. Wonderful Baby Pterodactyl. Yanzi has really delivered for Comicsgate this week. But yeah, they're all so great. You know, they're all so great. And thank you for the compliment there, you know, again, on the art books, you know. And it's like, I look at, excuse me, I look at the, you know, the kinds of compliments that, you know, Tommy's making there, and I just want to say I really appreciate it. It does not fall on deaf ears. I've been told that the secret to taking a compliment as I develop that is to make sure I always say thank you, so that one, I process it, and two, I acknowledge my appreciation for it. So I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. It means a lot. So here we go. There we are. Those little details, they just really make the difference, you know? To get the... There's this thing that Kurosawa used to talk about called immaculate reality, that he said he was always trying to create in his work. And that's one of the things that I'm really trying to do here. Let me see if I can zoom out just a little bit more. There we go. But the immaculate reality is something that where people just kind of move into the space, and even if it's not, you know, totally realistic, they feel as though it's believable. And, you know, it's like going to, for me anyway, it's like going to a really great atmospheric haunted house is one of the things that I'm kind of going for when I do this stuff. I want people to kind of come into this piece and feel like they're in this really intense, but intense, I mean visually rich, intense story. The story is going to have, you know, a certain amount of intensity to it, but it's not, you know, it's not a shock story or anything like that. And it's not gory per se at all. It's just, it will have more like, it will have violence and action in it, but it's not going to be too gory. It's just going to be more about beauty and romanticism. You know, that's what it's ultimately about for me. And so, yeah, as I develop it and as I put together, you know, the look of the story, you get the sense, even like when you're looking at like a shot like that or like that, you can kind of see how things are moving and flowing together. It really is about kind of creating a poetic, you know, look to it. And that's what I'm after here. So let me see here. If I can get this to move over. So here is a hatching line moving across. And again, a lot of this stuff is about just breathing. As you move the line across, just reminding yourself to breathe, keeps your hand nice and steady, and you get good results. There we go. And we're starting to put this space together. We're starting to give it that rich kind of feel. And that's what we're after. That's everything. Make sure, you know, too, when you guys are working today and whatever you're doing, or when you're sitting back and you're enjoying your books, when you see great works and you see great books that you're really inspired by, keep posting those photos as the books come in and keep getting the word out about all of these amazing projects people are doing. I mean, you guys are such great great advocates and great ambassadors for the stuff that we're doing here. And I try to be as best as I can. You know, with the book reviews and with posting and sharing stuff, because I just think that, you know, telling our story, as so many people have been saying, is really important. How we got here, why it's important. You know, I don't know if we have to necessarily debate why it's irrelevant, and clearly no one's really interested in having that conversation anyway. It's not a good faith argument that people are starting to make, but it's, I think we should definitely show people how the vitality of what we do and how much creativity it's producing. That's really what it's about. You know, it's getting that creativity to happen. Thank you so much, Lord Crackhead 33. Good to see you, boss. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, one day that intro is going to happen. I know it. We're just going to keep going, right? We're just going to keep doing this stuff. You guys are making all of this stuff possible, and I appreciate it. You know, I mean, anything I'm doing, any beauty that you're seeing in this stuff is completely, you know, being made possible by you guys supporting it. We were talking a few seconds ago about the whole how important it is to the secondary market aspect of it, which is on the other side of Indiegogo, making sure it's available for people to get so that we can build our fan base, which is so true. But I'm telling you, with the main essential part of this, especially for creators starting out, is what you guys are doing, which is that Indiegogo base that makes us be able to afford to do this stuff and be able to put the stuff out there. That's why it's so important for Indiegogo customers to be taken care of first. I don't mind waiting for things on the secondary market for when I catch up to things late, when I know that it's so that the Indiegogo backers can be taken care of. That's your core audience. Those are the people who, like, that's where this whole environment started, and whatever form it takes, that aspect is what's going to allow for new people to come in, and for us to say, look, we don't want boring stuff. Like, the reason there's so much awful, uninteresting, uncreative stuff out there is because nobody sees the stuff that we want to see being done, and so they can't show it and say, hey, look, it's making money. You guys show that it makes money. That's why we're here. That's why we're able to do it. Yeah, they have really been great to us, and that's why I tell people this. I had an art book. I was not going to promote it as a CG book because, again, it wasn't a comic book, but I chose to do it on Indiegogo because of what happened to John and what happened to your boy Zach and countless other creators with Indiegogo. That's just, I'm not, like, we used to say this a lot, ride or die. It's what it is. Finding those people. Those 4 people. As God, I'm lame. What am I going to do? It is what it is. Oh, boy. But that's what it is getting that audience. Building that audience was not easy. And the people who built it, and those of us who were in it, during those times, we know that. It was, we were in a situation where it's like we could have been shut out of making artwork if it wasn't for our support. Yes, I'm sure everybody else does, without a doubt. The hope is that we're in a position, because it's not a complicated bit of software to where people could, well, complicated in many senses, but that we could build, theoretically another platform. But I only worry about it, and my attitude is, and this is true with people, I have the same attitude with people, is that until somebody, if people give me a reason, to go, then that's one thing. But so far, Indiegogo has been, all the evidence has been that they've been very good to Ethan. And when John accidentally closed his campaign and Ethan was able to contact them to reopen Godlike, that's great. That shows customer service is there. Yep. That's right. Damn, Tommy, that's very well said. That is very well said. Yeah, I mean, that's more inspiration for the day, isn't it? That when we do well and we deliver and we do a great job, it's inspiring to you guys. Yeah, it's true. That's also a good point. Yes, Admiral, you're absolutely right on that. Oh yeah, and I feel like, because Cecil's not here, obviously, because he's got better things to be doing with his life. Thank you for your service, of course. But this is the thing about it, is that when we're working and when we're doing this stuff, you guys are, that is so true. You guys can look at it and say, yeah, I'm a part of making that thing happen. I think we've all felt that way, about different things that we're fans of and that we've supported. But I do think this has brought it more sharply into focus. It really has brought it more sharply into focus. Like when I see, Shane and Yanzi sort of growing their family and thinking about, what it's like for all of us when we step into the fray and we step away from this. Gosh, it's scary. It really, it's got its... Standing on principle always feels a lot scarier than not, but I would say you can look yourself in the mirror in the morning, and I think that's what we're all here to kind of do. You know, we're here because we want to look at entertainment that inspires us. We know who we are and who we're not. People can, you know, say what they want to say. They're going to anyway. It doesn't matter whether they have permission to or not, and that's not how it works, and that's not how we'd want it to work. But when they see great work, I always say that when you present people with unassailable skills and unassailable quality, people just look at it and go, that's quality. It's not about perfection, but I know that this is quality. This is worth the movie ticket. This is worth the comic book backing. That you can only chip away at that so much. People know quality when they see it. You can't, you know, fool people with that. And that's the most important thing when I think about this stuff is to the degree that we produce great work and we, you know, are vital in terms of there's life in what we're doing and the backers are there to support us all. And thank you to everyone who has supported me, by the way, and who is going to support me and all that stuff. If people are seeing this later, is that's sort of where our security comes from. That it's alive. The more things they see being created, and the more work they see going out there that's good, that's what tells us, is this still vital? Are people still working? Are people still showing up? Are people still producing new things? Because I do think that any movement of art movement it can't just stay the same. It's got to grow, and people have to see those successes continue, and they have to be able to point to names of new things or new works that people are doing that are enhancing both the prestige and the success of it. Yeah, he does have balls. Shane's impressive. Yeah, Shane does. And Shane is he's just a unique talent. I think I did not back Starlight Cats. I just didn't understand what it was, and you know, again, we talk about the money issue, and I was actually really excited. I was always kind of interested in it, but it's like, you know, I was trying to think of who I was gonna, you know, give it to and what I was gonna, you know, do with that thing. But I will tell you this: if he does a campaign and does a sequel, then I'm gonna be there, you know, and I'm gonna back the first book and the second book. It's just, you know, right now, it's the money I have is got to go to Inglorious Rex, but I'm ready to. I'm definitely ready to back, you know, and catch up on Starlight Cats, because I hear it's fantastic. For those of you guys who've read it, you know, absolutely right. No, it's totally true. Yeah, I mean, I don't have it's. I remember when the first time I sent a super chat in. I think it was the first to Ethan's show. It was a super chat I sent into Comicsgate Kings. It may have been the first show, and that was the first time any of my intros were really, you know, out there. And I think, gosh, my memory might be hazy though. You guys can look it up. It's all a matter of record. And I said, you know, my name is Shanth, and is how you pronounce it. You know, bless their hearts. And I said, you know, and I am CG, and I wanted, you know, that was. I mean, it's a super chat. It's like, who cares? But that was a big moment for me. You know, I had been there before, but I really needed to say it. I really needed to put it out there, and you know, let people know where I was, because that was. It was, you know, something I was doing for myself. It's like saying I'm an artist. I'm a painter. I care about this stuff, and it's like saying, yes, I believe in something. You know, I believe in storytelling. I believe in mythology. I believe in optimism. I believe in romance. I believe in beauty. I believe in aesthetics. I don't believe in anesthetics. I don't believe in numbing people. I believe in inspiring people and waking them up and getting them excited. You know, I want my work to feel like a shot of adrenaline for the soul. There we go. We're starting to get this thing together. Yeah, hell yeah, that's right. Hell yeah, Admiral. That's what we're about. That's what we have to be about. There's beauty out there. We cannot let people, you know, control the conversation and tell, especially young people out there, and that the world is a pointless, cynical place. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us are old enough to have tried that road, and we know where that goes. You know? It's like, yeah. It's not a novel road, and it's not a road that is got anything on it you want to be a part of. Period. You know? Oh man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But One Wicked Evo, you guys are amazing. Oh, that gets me. Come on, guys, easy on me now. Just because I'm complimenting people right now, you guys can't return fire. That's below the belt there. But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. One Wicked Evo. I appreciate it so much. My family appreciates it, and I appreciate it. Really love your support, guys. Grateful for it. Never take it for granted. Ever, ever. Won't. Will not. Never. You guys get me. And I don't mean that you understand me, although I think you do too. But you guys get me. Almost knocked my laptop off with the paper there. But you guys definitely inspire me. So let's keep doing this stuff. Let's keep making cool stuff. We can do it. We can absolutely do it. All those great creators and all those great projects, everybody who bought a ticket to go see the Universal monster movies and Frankenstein, I mean, that's where it happened, you know? Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys are horrendous. You guys are nice. Much love. Yeah, nihilism is stupid. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always say that it's like, it's really hard to be nihilistic having, I took trips to India when I was a kid and I saw some extreme poverty, and it is really tough to come away from that, interestingly enough, and not be utterly grateful for what you have, and to humor the idea that I just can't be cynical about this country. I can't be cynical about art. I can't be cynical about anything, because you see people who are living for that stuff. That's what's keeping us going. I mean, how many of you guys, and I know it's a lot of you, yes, absolutely, take care, my friend. Get some sleep depending on what time it is, awesome. Yes, take care, my friend. Terrific. Yeah. Night takes the household. Yeah, absolutely. Fans just my little channel. Oh, thank you. Gosh. I will. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love doing this. I follow a lot of people who do things, and watch a lot of things where people do woodworking. And, I was just watching Townsend's, they do 18th century, like, kind of living stuff. And they were putting a roof on a house in the old style of doing so. And that stuff, I love seeing people work by hand. And that goes for digital. I love watching, like, behind the scenes of, like, print shops, watching printers work. I'm just a nerd that way. I think a lot of us are. We like to see how things are made, That's just the way it is. I mean, that's what I live for, It's when I get, a package from, a project I've backed in the mail, and I see, open it up and I can sort of just see all of the different things that are coming in. Like, sometimes I forget what I ordered. I don't know if any of you guys are at that stage of senior citizenry yet, but I definitely feel it some days where I'm just like, what did I even get in this set? I can't remember. I'll back things a few times sometimes, and I won't know what's coming when. But it's so fun. It's so exciting, and it's just food for the soul. It's the best stuff. Here we go. So I'm just going to fill in this sort of section that I've got right here. Let me see here. Oh. Yes. Yeah, at some point I gotta do something with Dan Fraga. He's really nice, and he backed the book, and even besides that, he's just been really complimentary about my work and supportive, and although I do really appreciate him backing the book, and I appreciate all of you guys doing it, but he's been really great, and at some point I gotta get together with him. Yeah, if he's ever looking to have someone on Fragtober, I mean, we're almost at the end of it, but if he's ever looking for an extra spot to go on that show, I will consider I would consider being demolished by everybody who's amazing on there. But yeah, at some point we'll do an art stream. Yeah, you know. Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he's terrific. And just really, really brings that storyboarding speed and precision and grace to his stuff. I'm really looking forward to getting Pineapple Perception. I think it's going to be a great book. Really nice to see. There we go. So we're starting to come together here. So you guys are seeing, you know, whenever I do a stream like this, you guys are seeing, you know, whatever the pages are that I'm able to do on camera. You guys, just in terms of like both scale and what stage they're in, and if there's too much of the story that I'd be giving away. Let me just see here. Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, oh yeah. Fragus, I'd love to hear him talk more about storyboarding. You know, it's absolutely great stuff. You know, he's doing fantastic work. So, all right, guys. So here's where we are at this point. See how much I can really show and fit on here. But this is where we are. And hey, Eric, good to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm about to wrap up the stream, and Eric gets here. I'm like, I always feel bad when someone comes in the stream right when I'm wrapping up. Sorry, but it's yeah. This double page spread is going to be. I'm gonna just add a little extra time in here too, just for a few seconds, because I just saw Eric came in here. Right? Do you remember that's a little bit of the Frege rule as well in there? But this is the biggest thing I would say about this too is that you know, when I'm doing this book and as we're putting this page together, this is the best stuff that I've ever done with my work. And I'm going to be doing some stuff like adding things to the campaign and all of that stuff. Oh yeah, you better believe it. Hammer Horror, y'all. You know what I'm talking about. Ingrid Pitt, Madeline Collison, yeah, just so many people. Madeline Smith, like all the people who've inspired this work. And this is going to be fun, sexy adventure stories, and it's going to be a story that you just flip through and you feel like you're going through the haunted mansion of your adolescent dreams, you know? And I want you to just be smiling ear to ear when you read this book for the adventure and the coolness of it. There's always these things that we envision in our heads that we want to see done. And for me, they're inspired by a lot of the artists I love's work, and that's what we're about here. That's what we're doing. So, gang, I am going to go grab some food, and then I'm going to be getting back to work. I may do another stream today. I'm not positive. I'll try to do I'll try to announce it and schedule it if I do, just so you guys don't have to, you know, worry about coming in, you know, and figuring out when I'm doing it. Yes, and thank you for putting that in the chat. I do appreciate it, guys. Absolutely. You guys are awesome. Thank you for backing the book. My family and I are grateful to you. You know, love Comicsgate, guys. Hi to all my Comicsgaters out there, and you know, solidarity. You know, let's just keep doing this thing. Let's make beautiful artwork, and let's show people what, you know, we are fortunate enough to have the right to do. Be creatively free, make great stuff, and inspire. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I will see you guys all very, very soon. Yes, thank you, One Wicked Evo, as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lord Crackhead, Admiral Wackass, Tommy, let's see who else, Eric the Guapo. Let's see who else we've got here. One Wicked Evo. Yeah, everyone. Bad Crow Comics. And let's see who else. Stephen Rockwood. Yeah, everybody who has been in here. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll fight the good fight. Take care, everybody. And I will see you guys very, very soon. I promise. So now I just got to figure out where. There we go. Here we go, gang. Take care. Much love.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me!